My sister humiliated me at her baby shower about my infertility, but I was pregnant the whole time. Now she's begging to meet my daughter, and my answer left them destroyed. I'm 32 years old. I work in human resources, and honestly, I need to tell this story because I still can't believe all of this actually happened. I mean, when people ask me why I don't talk to my sister or my mom, I don't even know where to start, because it's so absurd it sounds like it's from a bad soap opera. You know what I mean? But it all happened. Every horrible thing I'm going to tell you is real. And there are still days when I wake up and think, did my own family really do that to me? I guess I should start from the beginning, or at least from where everything started to go wrong. I always had a complicated relationship with my sister Samantha. She's 5 years younger than me, and let's just say she was always the baby of the family. You know, the one who could do whatever she wanted and there were never any consequences. I was the responsible one, the one who got good grades, the one who helped around the house, and she was the spoiled one, who could come home late, leave, everything lying around, and my parents would just say, "Oh well, you know how Samantha is." We grew up in a small town near Phoenix, Arizona, in a normal house, with normal parents, Helen and Charles, who are basically those people who avoid conflict at all costs, especially my dad, who prefers to stay quiet and let everything pass. But anyway, when we grew up, things didn't get much better. I married Andrew like 6 years ago. He works in software sales, and he's basically the kindest and most patient person I know, which is ironic considering what happened later. Samantha stayed living near my parents, working at a clothing store and dating different guys until she met her current boyfriend like 3 years ago. They're not married, but she got pregnant last year and suddenly everything was about her and her baby and her perfect life. And this is where the story gets hard to tell, because what nobody knew, what literally nobody in my family knew, is that Andrew and I had been trying to have a baby for 2 years. 2 full years of tests, of doctors, of temperatures and calendars and hormones, of reading every article about fertility that exists on the internet, of crying every time I got my period. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, is that like a year and a half ago, I finally got pregnant. I was so happy I couldn't even talk, and I lost the baby at 11 weeks. 11 weeks of hope, of planning, of dreaming, and it all went down the drain in a hospital on some random Tuesday while Andrew held my hand and cried with me. We didn't tell anyone. Not my parents, not Samantha, nobody. We decided it was too painful, that we didn't want to deal with questions or pitying looks or unsolicited advice. We kept trying in secret, going to appointments with specialists, basically spending all our savings on treatments, and nobody had any idea. My mom would sometimes ask, "So when are you two going to have kids?" And I would just say, "When the time is right, Helen," and change the subject. Samantha never asked. Honestly, she was too busy with her own life. So, fast forward to like 6 months ago. Samantha announces her pregnancy. Everyone's super happy. My mom is crying with excitement because she's going to be a grandmother. My dad is proud. And I'm there, smiling and congratulating her, while inside I feel like I'm being stabbed. It's not that I wasn't happy for her. I mean, of course I was happy in theory. But you know what it feels like to be fighting for something for years and see someone else get it effortlessly? It's horrible. It's selfish. I know. But it's real. And Samantha, being Samantha, immediately started with plans for the most elaborate baby shower in the world. She'd call me every other day with new ideas. She wanted a safari theme with giraffes and elephants. She wanted personalized cupcakes. She wanted specific games. She wanted to invite like 50 people. And my mom, instead of telling her to tone it down, basically expected me to organize everything. One day she called me and said, "Melissa, you're so good at organizing things. Why don't you take care of your sister's baby shower?" And I, like an idiot, said yes. I don't know why I did it. I guess part of me wanted to prove that I could be the perfect older sister, that I could support her even though inside I was dying. I spent like 2 months planning that damn party. I found the perfect venue, a nice event hall in Scottsdale that cost like $1,000 just for rent. I hired catering that charged $20 per person. Found a 3-tier cake with handmade fondant decorations. Bought all the decorations Samantha wanted. Organized the games. Made the invitations myself because she wanted something super specific that didn't exist in stores. I spent basically $3,000 of my own money. My mom promised to help, but in the end only put in like $500. And worked every night after my full-time job to make everything perfect. And this is, where the story gets truly crazy. 2 weeks before the baby shower, I took a pregnancy test just to take it, basically without hope, because we'd been through this so many times, and it came out positive. I stood there staring at that pink line in my office bathroom for like 10 minutes, unable to process what I was seeing. I called Andrew crying, and he literally left a meeting to come home. We went to the doctor the next day, and they confirmed I was pregnant, like 5 weeks along, and this time everything looked good. Andrew wanted to tell everyone immediately, but I told him no, that we should wait. Honestly, I was afraid of losing this baby too. I was afraid that if I said something before Samantha's baby shower, she'd get mad because it would take attention away from her. I was basically afraid of everything. We decided we'd wait until after the first trimester, until we were sure everything was okay. And in the meantime, I'd continue with the baby shower plans as if nothing was happening. The day of the baby shower arrived and everything looked perfect, literally like from Pinterest. The tables had centerpieces with stuffed giraffes. There were gold and green balloons everywhere. The cake was beautiful. The food smelled amazing. I arrived like 3 hours early to supervise everything and make sure every detail was right. Samantha arrived with her group of friends, all of them screaming and hugging her, taking pictures for Instagram, and basically completely ignoring me even though I had done everything. But well, it was her day. I understood that. The party started well. People ate. We played some silly baby shower games. Everyone was having fun. My mom was happy taking pictures of everything. My dad was in a corner chatting with some uncles. Andrew was with me, helping me coordinate everything. I felt tired and a little nauseous, I guess because of the pregnancy, but I tried to keep a smile and make sure everything flowed well. Then came the time to open gifts. Samantha sat in a special chair we had decorated. Everyone gathered around, and she started opening her gifts one by one, while her best friend Crystal, and when I say best friend, I mean that dramatic person who's always causing problems but Samantha adores, was writing down who gave what. Crystal is one of those people who think they're funny but are actually just cruel. You know what I mean? She's like 28 years old, works at a beauty salon, and basically lives for drama and attention. Everything was going well until Samantha opened my gift. I had bought her a super expensive portable crib, one of those that cost like $400, plus a bunch of things I knew she needed because I'd spent weeks asking her what she wanted. Samantha opened it and said, "Oh, thanks, Melissa," and basically put it aside without much enthusiasm. I was used to that with her, so it didn't surprise me. But then Crystal, who was standing next to Samantha with her mimosa in hand, decided to open her horrible mouth and said out loud for everyone to hear, "Wow, Melissa, how generous. I guess you need to live the baby experience through your sister since you can't have your own, right?" The silence that fell in that room was absolute. Like 50 people went quiet instantly. I froze, feeling the blood drain from my face. Andrew, who was next to me, put his hand on my arm and said quietly, "What the fuck did you just say?" But Crystal wasn't done. She kept talking, laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world, saying, "No, it's true. My friend works at the fertility clinic and she told me that Melissa and Andrew have been going for years. She even lost a baby a while back, didn't she? I must be super sad not being able to do what your body is designed to do." I can't describe what I felt in that moment. It was like someone had hit me in the stomach with a baseball bat. All those people, most of whom I didn't even know well, were staring at me with shock or pity or curiosity, and I just wanted the earth to open up and swallow me. I could hear some people whispering, someone making a sound of stifled surprise. My mom looked horrified but didn't say anything. My dad literally just stood there without moving. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, is that I looked at Samantha, expecting her to say something, to tell Crystal to shut up, to kick her out. Anything. But Samantha just shrugged and said, "Well, it's true, isn't it? It's not like it's a secret. And besides, Crystal didn't say anything wrong, just facts." That word, facts, was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Andrew exploded before I could react. He literally yelled at Crystal, "You're a horrible person. Who says those things? How dare you talk about someone's private medical issues in public?" And then he turned to Samantha and said, "And you what? Is this how you defend your sister who organized all of this for you?" He demanded that she kick Crystal out of the party immediately, or we were leaving. Samantha got all defensive, saying it was her party, and she decided who stayed and who left, that if we didn't like it, we could leave ourselves. My mom tried to calm the situation, saying, "Everyone calm down. Let's not ruin Samantha's day. But Andrew said, ruin her day? What about Melissa's day, who worked like a slave to make this possible? I finally found my voice and looked Samantha straight in the eyes. I said, are you really not going to say anything to your friend after what she just did? And she, with that superior face she always makes, said, Melissa, don't be so dramatic. Crystal was just joking, and besides, we're all adults here. If you can't handle the truth, maybe you need therapy or something. That was it for me. I grabbed my purse. Andrew already had the car keys in his hand, and we left. As we were leaving, I could hear my mom saying, Melissa, wait, don't leave like this. And Crystal, laughing with her friends like nothing had happened. The last thing I heard was Samantha yelling, and who's going to pay for the catering? We agreed you were going to pay half. In the car ride home, I couldn't even speak. I just cried and cried while Andrew drove, telling me over and over, you're never talking to them again. You hear me? Never. When we got home, I lay down in bed and basically didn't move for 2 days. Andrew had to call my work to say I was sick. I didn't even have the energy to be angry. I just felt empty and humiliated and betrayed. On the 3rd day, Andrew did something. I didn't ask him to, but that I honestly needed. He went on Facebook and found Crystal's profile and wrote her a public message, like a post tagging her, saying basically that she was a cruel and despicable person, that she had violated medical privacy laws. Her friend at the clinic could lose her job for revealing patient information, that she had caused severe emotional harm intentionally, and that if she didn't apologize publicly, he was going to consult with a lawyer about defamation and privacy violations. The post went viral among friends and family, with a bunch of people commenting that Crystal had crossed the line. Crystal, seeing that things were getting serious and that her friend at the clinic could get into huge legal trouble, made a public post apologizing. It was one of those fake apologies like, I'm sorry if anyone was offended by my comment at the baby shower. It wasn't my intention to hurt anyone. I was just joking. But I understand it was inappropriate. Basically a non-apology where she played the victim, but at least it was something public. But you know what? Samantha never apologized. Not once. Instead, my mom started calling me every day, telling me I had to apologize, that I had ruined my sister's baby shower, that Andrew had no right to attack Crystal on social media, and that I still owed them the $1,500 for half the catering I had promised to pay. I told her I wasn't going to pay a single cent, that I had spent $3,000 on a party where I was publicly humiliated, and my sister did nothing to defend me. Samantha sent me like 50 text messages, all basically saying I was a terrible sister, that I had always been jealous of her, that just because I had fertility problems didn't mean she had to walk on eggshells around me, that Crystal was just drunk and talking nonsense and I was too sensitive. In none of those messages was there a real apology or acknowledgement that what happened was wrong. After like 2 weeks of this, Samantha played her final card. She called me and said, well, if this is how you're going to be, then when my baby is born, you won't be able to meet him. Ever. You're going to be an absent aunt because you clearly don't care about this family. I said, you know what, Samantha? That's fine. I accept that. If that's what you want, perfect. I don't need to be in your son's life if it means accepting being treated like this. I think she expected me to beg or get hysterical, but when I accepted her ultimatum without fighting, she went quiet for a moment and then hung up. My mom called me 3 hours later yelling at me about how dare I do that to my sister, that I was being selfish and cruel, that family is the most important thing. I told her that apparently family wasn't that important when her older daughter was publicly humiliated and nobody did anything. She said I was exaggerating everything, that I needed to grow up and get over things. I didn't talk to any of them for months. My dad called me once, like 2 months after everything, and basically said, don't you think it's time for everyone to move on? I told him there was nothing to move on from until Samantha really apologized and acknowledged what happened, and he just sighed and said, you know how your sister is? She's never going to admit she was wrong. I told him then, I guess we're not going to have a relationship, and he got a little upset but in the end said he respected my decision even though he didn't agree. Meanwhile, my pregnancy kept progressing. I passed the first trimester, then the second, then the third, and everything was going perfect. Andrew and I went to all the appointments together. We bought things for the baby, we prepared the nursery, and we did everything in complete silence without telling my family anything. I didn't post anything on social media. I didn't tell anyone in common who could tell them. Basically, they had no idea I was expecting a baby. Samantha had her son in September. I saw the pictures on Facebook because I hadn't blocked her yet. I had just muted her posts. All the comments were about what a beautiful baby, congratulations, blessings, etc. My mom posted like 100 pictures of her first grandson. I didn't comment on anything, didn't like anything, just went on with my life. 2 weeks after Samantha's baby was born, she sent me a super casual message, like nothing had happened in the last few months. It said, "Hey, I need you to, this, someday." After that conversation, I blocked her and my mom from everything. Phone, social media, email, everything. My dad never contacted me much anyway, so I didn't have to block him. But I basically cut off all contact. Andrew totally agreed, told me I had done the right thing, and that our family was the two of us, and our baby on the way. I gave birth to my daughter, Emma, in December. It was the happiest day of my life. She was born completely healthy, weighing 7 pounds, with a bunch of dark hair like mine. Andrew cried when he held her for the first time. I cried. It was basically perfect. We stayed in the hospital for 2 days, and then went home to start our life as a family of 3. We didn't tell anyone in my family. Not before birth, not during, not immediately after. Like a week passed and I decided enough was enough with the secrecy. I wasn't going to hide or feel ashamed of my daughter out of fear of my family's reaction. So, I posted a picture on Instagram of Emma, a beautiful picture where she looked perfect in her little pink outfit, with a simple caption that said, "Welcome to the world, Emma Marie, born December 15th. The reaction was instant and predictable. My mom somehow saw the picture, probably through some mutual friend who didn't know about the drama, and sent me like 20 messages in a row from a new number I didn't have blocked. She said things like, "Were you pregnant this whole time? How could you not tell us? How could you do this? We're your family. We had a right to know. I can't believe you hid your daughter from us." Samantha also sent me messages from a different number, and these were even worse. She called me everything, said I was vindictive and cruel, that I had planned all of this to make her look bad, that it was obvious I had been pregnant during her baby shower and kept it secret just to have something to use against her later. She said we were the same now, that we were both first-time moms, that we should support each other, that our kids should grow up together. I didn't respond to any of the messages. I read them, Andrew read them, and we both decided it wasn't worth the stress of responding. I blocked the new numbers too and went on with my life taking care of my newborn baby. But my dad, who had been quiet this whole time, called me like 3 days after I posted the picture. I answered, because honestly I was curious what he was going to say. His voice sounded tired when he spoke, and he said, "Melissa, your mom and your sister are very upset. They feel like you betrayed them by not telling them about the baby. You need to call them and explain yourself." I said, "Explain myself? About what exactly do I need to explain myself, Dad?" And he said about why I had hidden my pregnancy, why I hadn't given them the chance to be there for me, why I was being so difficult when everyone just wanted to be a family. I asked him if he remembered what happened at the baby shower. There was a long silence and then he said, "That was months ago. You have to let it go." And that's where I basically lost my composure a little. I said, "No, Dad, I'm not going to let it go." I was publicly humiliated about one of the most painful moments of my life. My sister allowed it to happen and then told me it was my fault for being so sensitive, and nobody in this family defended me or supported me. And now they're upset because I didn't tell them about my pregnancy? Do you really not see the irony? He tried to interrupt, but I kept talking. I told him I had made the decision to keep my pregnancy private, because I didn't trust them to treat me with respect, because I didn't want anyone to ruin that special moment for me, because after everything that happened, they had lost the privilege of being involved in my life. I told him Samantha never really apologized, that Mom just blamed me for everything, that he stayed quiet and neutral when he should have defended his older daughter. My dad said I was being dramatic, that families fight and forgive each other, that this didn't have to be so complicated. I told him he was right. It didn't have to be complicated. They just had to acknowledge that what happened was wrong and genuinely apologize, but apparently that was impossible for them. He sighed and said, I was missing out on having a relationship with my little nephew, and that Emma was missing out on knowing her family. I replied that Emma has family. She has Andrew and me. She has Andrew's parents who have been incredible and respectful. She has close friends we've considered chosen family. She doesn't need toxic people in her life just because we share blood. I told him that if someday Samantha and Mom wanted to have a real conversation, acknowledge the harm they caused, and apologize without buts or justifications, I would be willing to listen. But until then, I was going to protect my peace of mind and my family's peace. He said it was my decision and he respected it even, though he didn't agree, that he would always be my dad and loved me. I told him I loved him too, but that this was a boundary I wasn't going to cross. We hung up and I haven't heard from him since. That was like 2 months ago. So here I am now, 32 years old, with a beautiful daughter who's almost 3 months old who's changing my life every day, with a husband who supported me when my whole family turned their backs on me, and with no contact with my mom, my sister, or basically my dad. Is it sad? Yes. Sometimes. Do I feel guilty? Sometimes too. But do I regret setting these boundaries? Not for a second. Last week, Emma smiled for the first time. A real smile, not from gas, while Andrew was making silly faces at her. I recorded it on video and uploaded it to Instagram, and there were a bunch of comments from friends congratulating us and saying how beautiful she is. There were no comments from my family because they're still blocked. And honestly, I didn't even think about that until hours later. My life no longer revolves around their drama. It revolves around my daughter and building a happy and healthy life for her. Sometimes I wonder if someday Samantha will really understand what she did, if she'll mature and realize you can't treat people like that and expect them to still be there for you. I wonder if my mom will someday see that. By choosing to support Samantha, without questioning her actions, she basically chose to lose a daughter. I wonder if when Emma grows up and asks why she doesn't know my side of the family, I'll be able to explain all of this in a way that makes sense. But for now, I'm okay with my decisions. I'm okay with the fact that my family is small, but it's full of people who love me and respect me. I'm okay with not having to pretend everything's fine when it's not. And I'm especially okay with the fact that my daughter is going to grow up seeing that her mom doesn't accept being treated with disrespect, that boundaries are important, and that real family is the one that supports you in difficult times, not the one that kicks you when you're already on the ground.